It's C-Doc again.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. We're back in another episode of It's C-Doc again. Gonna have a good time tonight. Lots of questions. Gonna be fun. Got great people to talk with. And you know the regular crew. You know the usual suspects, if you will. My comrades, the homies. First up, she got her start in classic rap radio. Our lady from the heyday of K-Day, Jennifer Ojene. Yeah, I love the pause. It's like
Have to.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. West Side. How are you, Jennifer?
Something like that. I'm all right. How about you?
I'm good. Look, running and gunning. The wife was working late, so had to take care of the kids, but it's all good.
Oh boy.
Got them to bed. Trying to get my own life together. Backwurst in the house. What's up?
It happens.
Backwurst. Also joining us tonight, as always, from People's Distinctive Travels, a fantastic podcast in his own right. The guy you love to follow on Instagram, ladies and gentlemen, coming from New Jeru's Ultramag 7.
What's up, Doc? What's up, Jennifer?
What's up, bro? How are you?
I'm fine.
Okay.
It's funny you said that people love to follow. Earlier today, I tried to go on Instagram, and they had removed me off of Instagram. And I'm like, what the heck is this?
Are you serious?
So, yeah, it was short-lived. It might have been a total of 5 minutes.
Oh,
so
okay.
I had to answer these questions and, do this CAPTCHA thing. And then in the next 5 minutes, they sent me an email. They reviewed my account in 5 minutes. And they were like, you're good to go. So
they got a team. They got a squad working on that, huh?
Yeah, AI. I have some hip hop mail.
Hey,
I just received
mail
today.
Yes.
Hip hop mail. So I received a cassette.
Oh.
Supernatural, natural disasters, and I received this from one Dingy Brown, who will soon be a guest on It's C-Doc. He produced the whole album.
Yeah.
And this was supposed to come out around 95, 96.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, 95. And it got shelved because I remember I had the single with Buddha Blessed It and Mind Tricks the Body, Thanks to Mind is Crazy. Later on, once the internet and everything was, you could download music. I have the, MP3s, but me and my cassettes. I got the cassette.
Man. Shout out to
the cassette.
90s tapes, right?
Yeah, 90s tapes. They did an awesome job. The artwork is done by rest in peace Matt Dew.
That's like the original artwork, isn't it?
Yeah, original artwork.
Yeah.
Matt Doable Arts, Matt Dew. Yeah. So shout out to Gingy Brown. I'm sorry, I said Dingy Brown. Gingy Brown. The D is silent. Gingy.
The Django kind of thing, right?
Yeah, but he'll be on soon, so
yes,
we'll hear all about it.
Looking forward to talk to him.
Yeah.
Also joining us tonight, the man behind Hip Hop Gods Radio, the president of Rap Station, coming from the Northwest Side, ladies and gentlemen, Flatline.
Kaboom, kablam, kabingo, kabongo.
Flat Lizzo.
Yeah.
In the place to be.
Boy. Here I am.
Yes.
With all kinds of sound effects, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't do that. You gotta do this one though. Yeah. You gotta throw that in there.
Cha cha cha.
Yeah, there you go. Right?
Holy moly.
Yeah. How are things with you, Flatline?
Good. Now that I'm here, yeah.
All
I feel fine. Yeah.
Good. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Love to hear that. Yeah, that's great. New Hip Hop Gods radio show this week.
Is there ever?
Chock full of goodies.
chock full of goodies. This week marks 13 years that I've been doing the show. So,
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you. So, on edition 643, it blasts off with the world premiere of DJ Bacon's remix of Give It Up by some group called Public Enemy. It's a Cool in the Gang remix. It's pretty dope. It's a fresh spin on that classic.
Old favorite, yeah.
In addition to all that, new Snow Goon featuring Razkaz and a bunch of people, M. Dot featuring Grand Puba, Eric Sermon featuring Salt and Peppa, Los T's featuring Masta Ace, Reef the Lost Cause with an incredible track from his new album. I was pretty blown away.
Wow.
An exclusive by Wheeler Del Toro featuring Craig G and Cool Keith that's out on the 23rd of this month. New DJ Muggs featuring Capadonna. 1999 Right the Future featuring Souls of Mischief. True Trilla featuring Rex and Lakim Shabazz. I mean,
Wow.
Yes.
Lakim Shabazz.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm not one to be like, hey, like check out my show because it's so great. But this show this week is the perfect example of like the hip hop gods really doing it. These classic artists and new music. So if you've never checked out the show, this would be a good week to do so.
Yeah.
Word
up.
done. Yeah.
All right. That's all you got to say. That's all you got to say. Go check out the new episode of Hip Hop Gods on the Rap Station app on Mixcloud.
Yep.
Check it out and do it. And hey,
we could just do this.
Woo!
Oh, snap.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep.
That's great.
You can do that too.
Hey, Doc.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc. Can I show Flatline something?
Yeah.
Just real quick before we bring our guest on.
It's going to be Dylan. Watch.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
Of course it is. So, as I keep on talking about me and the great DJ Soulbuck, we went to Philly to see Dylan. And, he signed my cassette. But guess what he put on the back?
Oh my God, that's not right. It's not right. It's not right.
He did put yet at the bottom.
I was going to say he did say yet.
He did put yet.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's incredible.
That is great.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dylan. Yeah.
Shout out to Dylan. He was playing a lot of, it's Dilla month. He was playing a lot of Dilla joints. Khalif Now was there, and also Jarv. So I don't know if y'all are up on Jarv. He's a dope MC. He's living in Brooklyn now.
I've heard of Jarv.
But
okay. Word.
Well, I think we're gonna have to bring him on the show. I put the word out.
I like that.
Yeah, but he's gonna have to go through the commissioner.
He damn sure is.
Yes.
He will have to go through the commissioner.
Yep. All right. Well, let's get into it. Our guest is patiently waiting. A hip hop god. Come on now. Yeah, just like a part of one of the most revolutionary DJ crews there is. Let's bring him on. And I got a question because it says it on his intro of his new album. I can't believe it, but I guess it's true. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mista Sinista.
What's good, y'all? What's good, C? What's good, Flatline, Jennifer, Jenny, C Doc, Flatline. Respect to all of you guys.
How are you,
Yes,
sir?
I'm okay. I'm blessed, man. In this time, I'm very grateful and blessed, and having fun and happy to be on the show, man. You guys have me laughing. Y'all got me. I like the energy. You guys got me laughing. That's great. I heard this. Who you have on your show, Flatline. That's incredible, man. That I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah, and in fact, I would have had Emski and Milk Crate, their new joint that has
Yes.
you on the cuts. And about
Yes.
so that'll be next week. You'll be in the mix.
Oh wow.
Thank you very much. Big shouts to Emski and Milk Crate. Very good project too.
Word. All right, so you've got a new record out.
Correct. Reborn. It came out.
Before you talk about it, it says on the intro, and I couldn't believe it, but maybe it's your first album.
Correct. My first album, my first debut album in all these years.
Wow. Okay. All right. Please tell us about Reborn. Yes.
Okay. Well, I named the album Reborn because there was a particular time I was going through in my life that things were moving kind of funny, and I ended up changing my attitude about a lot of things. Became real positive about things and to see things in different ways. So I decided to name it Reborn because for me it was like a new birth, a new starting for me, musically, spiritually. So I decided to name it that. And while I was putting it together, I had some ideas, but I started with like 4 songs that I had. And as I was going into the project, I was like, I wasn't thinking about any deal or nothing. I just wanted to make the best album I possibly could.
Yeah.
And that was my main goal. So I hibernated for like 5 months just to get ideas, tracks, decided who I want on it, decided which tracks we're gonna hit. So once I finished, I called Joe because from Fat Beats, DJ Jab, big shouts to him. And if in case anybody doesn't know out there, I used to work at Fat Beats when they first opened. I worked the first store that was in the Village. And as it went on, I mean, that was the golden era with Premier and all these guys. Yeah, I mean, you could see everybody that was walking into Fat Beats at that time. It was an amazing era. I mean, you guys can relate, And so when Joe moved to 6th Avenue at 6, I actually started working back at that store that was there. And I stayed there. And I was like, you know what? I think the best possible place for me to go, it would be for me to go to Fat Beats because I have a history with Joe. Joe was the first guy to take us on tour as a group. He was the first person to believe in us. Joe's actually a DJ himself as well. He was as well as a record owner. So I was like, you know what? It'd be so dope if I could put my album out on Fat Beats because that's the relation right there. That's the correlation. And I called Joe up when I was like 6 songs in, and I was like, look, I'm working on a project. Are you still putting out stuff? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, I'm working on the album. Would you like it? He was like, yes, and of course. So as we were going through the process, I involved him in the process. It's not like somebody that just gives a label an album and goes, okay, we'll just take it. I think the label reacts better to when you give them the project and they see that you're into it, you involve them or what's going on. That makes them feel more comfortable about how the project is coming. So I did that with Joe because I have a personal relationship with him, and also he's a DJ and he can understand from a DJ perspective as just well as not like a business person that you just give an album to. So it worked out like that, and I gave him the album, and he was like, "Yeah, it's coming together great." I sent him everything, and he let me follow my vision. He had some feedback, but for the most part, which you really get in his business, he let me just go. He let me get my vision out. He was like, "Sin, this is your debut album. I don't want to restrict you to anything." And I felt that was really great because it's very rare in this industry for a label to do that. They want to control and monopolize everything. But he was like, "Look, I'm letting you go. I know you have a lot to do, a lot to say for this album, and I want you to just go." And lastly, when we were doing the pictures for the album, I sent him some ideas that I had with a baby and like Reborn. He was like, "Yeah, that's okay." But so Joe actually had old pictures for when I was at the store and I was working. I used to DJ at the store, and that was my job. I was a DJ playing records for all the people that came in. And he said, "Sin, I'll send you some pictures that I still have." I didn't know he had these pictures. And I'm like, he sent me these pictures, and I'm like, I'm looking through, and I look and I find this one, which is on the cover, and he sent me this one. And that actually is taken at the store. That is while I was in action at the store. The background is the wall of Fat Beats, and everybody that knows the store, the iconic store, knows that background and wall. So I was like, I got to use that picture. He was like, I was hoping you picked that one. So my album cover is actually me in the store working. So it worked out, you know?
Oh,
So dope, man. So dope.
Thank you.
The guest list is pretty crazy. And
Thank you.
was it a matter of, was that a wish list, or I'm going to call friends, or a little bit of both?
Yes. I think it was a little bit of both. When I decided to when I decided to call or choose the artists, I wanted to choose some artists that came up in my era as well, because of course they could understand where I came from. Like UG from Cellar Dwellers, Jean Grey, you know, big shout to Jean Grey, who she wants to be called former MC Jean Grey. She doesn't rhyme anymore, but I came up with all these people. Mike Hands, Dead Poets is some people I went to do to producers. Big shouts to them. They're new. My lady Sapphire, she introduced me to them online. C the Cuban, I knew. Chadio, I knew from Crew. So most of the artists that I chose to be on the album were people that came up in my era. We all ran into each other back then, and we all did some type of business together back then, and we were all in the same era. So I decided to get them, Ella Sensei, Nutso, big shout to them, because they're from my era, and I felt they can take my vision, and they would understand it, and they can take what I was envisioning and add to it. So some was wish, some was already knowing, some was relation, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But was there always the plan to have MCs on it, or was it any time it was just, were you thinking maybe I'm just going to be a turntablism instrumental sort of thing?
I always wanted to go towards MCs because I always felt I've like back in the days I've listened to DJ albums, and even back in the days like with Cash Money and Marvelous and Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. These guys were DJs, and that was the era where the DJ was in the forefront. They were always, the DJ would be, the name would be in the front. I always felt like the MC had to be on a turntable album, because I've heard other turntable albums, and for myself, I'm a fan as well as an artist.
Yeah,
I'm a turntablist and I'm a DJ, so I've heard albums back then with just turntablists, and to me, and I know if it sounds like that to me, you know, it's like that it gets monotonous. It just gets overkill. I can listen to like 3 or 4 of them, but then it's like, okay, I appreciate the skill, but I need to go in a different direction. As an artist, I need to move and go in a different direction. I can't sit there and listen to all this all the time. So I always had a plan. I said, I got to diverse. I want some turntable stuff on it because people know that I'm a turntablist, of course, but I need to show that I have MCs on it and that I can make songs as well, along with MCs, and have a great mixture. So that was always the plan with that.
Okay. Yeah, it's dope. I mean, it's great. Any record that has MCs and scratching, I'm good with. So, I mean, you know, not enough of that anymore. Jeez.
Right. I'm trying to tell you, man, what happened to that?
Yo, man.
Try to bring it back.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That was the golden era, man. You know, that was the era that we grew up in. But I'm like, you know, that's what I try to capture with this album too, is to bring that back, because in myself, I'm like I'm stuck in this time warp where I always say that. Like I always was always wanted to elevate into the new stuff, and I do that because I'm a fan as well. But I always was if it's not broke, don't fix it person. I always want to go with my formula of doing things. Like, people respect you. I've noticed that with a lot of the artists back in the days, that the disco artists that were coming up, they tried to go somewhere else, and I think they were trying to maybe do something new, but at the time it wasn't respected, and they kind of like lost the other fan base that was with them, that stayed with them. And so it's a fine line with that. You know, I always felt like keeping my own style, but elevating it and trying to keep up with the new times, but not altering or deviating from my original style, which people like me for, you know?
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes for artists to understand. It's a delicate balance
Oh yeah.
But I think you accomplished it, and you obviously know what you're doing. So
yes, thank you by the grace of the Lord.
yeah. One last question about the new record, unless the other guys do.
It's fine.
Why now? Why now for the debut album?
Oh, a lot of good reasons. Great question. Now is because, like I said, there was a time where I was getting personal stuff together, and I didn't actually have studio access to things, and I was constantly depending on people to do things. And as you know, in this game, it's like working on other people's time is kind of like, So I was doing all of that, and I was like, well, let me just get these things in order, because without personal stuff in order, it's kind of hard to do anything else if you don't have the basics together with yourself. And I went through all of that stuff. I went through a time in my life where I was going through some personal things. I was back and forth trying to find places to live. I wasn't really concentrated on studio work. I had issues that I was dealing with drinking and a lot of stuff like that, and I had to get those things in order as far as before then. And once those things started to come forth and show face, and I was able to come to grips with things, and I was able to free myself. It's a battle every day. I still do it, but I was able to free myself. I started to feel more light, and I started to feel like I could do more things. And then all these other things started to come. The universe is crazy, all of these other things started to come into order. It just started coming one by one, and the joy and the elation and the hunger for everything started to come back to me. Like, it's just, I can't explain that feeling. It's like, it's surreal. It's just like a surge of energy that came back to me. And big shout out to my lady Sapphire. She's probably watching. She also DJs with me on Beat Miners, and she's my partner. And so when I came when I hooked up with her, I met her in New York. She was DJing, and I was at a time in my life where I wasn't thinking about doing anything, no album, no nothing. So she was when I came here, she already had a show going on Beat Miners Radio. A big shout out to Beat Miners. And she was like, look, I do a radio show, and I can't do it by myself. So would you want to do it with me? And I'll be honored to have you. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it. So at that point, I was stuck with that. I was like, yeah, I'll do this. Yeah, and I was into that. Still no album, anything. And then she just kept talking to me like every day. She's like, yeah, you should do an album, or you should do like little posts on Insta, because I hadn't done any of this. Like, I was nothing for a minute. And I actually thought that at one point I was going to retire. I was like, I've been on 5 European tours, 5 US tours, X-Ecutioners, done a lot of stuff, and I don't really feel it anymore. And I was actually going to retire. I didn't make the announcement, but then she kept going, well, why don't you just do some like Instagram posts of you come, DJing, because people want to see you. I was like, nah, I did the nah thing for a while. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I did it. And the amount of love and I got from doing those posts were like, people were like acting like I was brand new again. They were like, yo, there's like Sinus is back. There's like a surge of energy. We just see you doing all these things again. And I was like, wow. Oh, okay. This kind of, she gave me some good advice. I always tell people, a woman could always give you some great advice. Jenny smiling over there. But for the guys and stuff.
I don't know nothing about
it. So she started talking to me about albums and like, why don't you do an album? And I was like, well, nah, I'm not really in the album thing. I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do it. And again, I was like, well, I had some stuff that I did back in the days that never came out. And some things were floating on YouTube, which was in just a retrospect with the history, was the Jean Grey song, which is September, which is on the album, which is on the Reebok. If you guys heard the album.
Yeah.
I think one of the best songs on the album. And Jean Grey did that for me over 20 something years ago. And yeah, she did it over 20 years ago. And that was on YouTube. It was on my boy James Elson. He put it on a Just for Starters LP, but it was out. It was floating on YouTube, but it didn't have that big push. Like, of course, that Fat Beats to give it. It was out. And She was like, why don't you do an album? So I thought about it for like 3 days, and I was like, well, I let her hear the Jean Grey song. I was like, well, I really don't know, but this is something that I put out a long time ago that I had, and I let her hear it. And she was like, yo, you need to put that out. Like, this is what I'm talking about. And just, she was like, she's a very tough critic, so I know she likes it. I was like, okay. I was like, all right. So I started to feel like I was like, all right, maybe this will work. So I decided to put Jean Grey song. I was like, well, I'm going to try this. I'm going to put it out as a leak. I know all the radio DJs, big shouts to all of them. And I'm also on B- radio. So I was like, I'll start with that. Radio still is and always is going to be the main source of hearing things, because that's how people heard things back in the days. You had to go to the radio or you had to be at a club. The radio is most important. It's the voice of the music. Everybody, the radio is the voice. That's where everybody heard things. So I put the song, I sent it to like 8 DJs. And I said, please spin it for me. I just want to see the reaction. And I got great reaction from it. I got a great reaction. So I was like, all right, you know what? I know that I have some things that people might want to hear. And I was like, you know what? Let me start working on an album. And I gave in and I hibernated. And that's why the album came now. But I think the album, I always believed that there was a reason, whether it been personal or whatever. There was a reason the universe didn't allow me to release the album at that time. I think the album came at the right time when it was supposed to, and this was the time that it was supposed to come. So I'm actually happy that it didn't come then, because this was the time it was supposed to come, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Wow. That's great. What a great story. Jeez.
Thank you.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, when I was cooking dinner for the kids, I put the album on or whatever. I was listening to it. And I
thank you.
The second time I listened to it, but I noticed that on the intro you even say that, it's his debut album. I'm like, wait, that can't be right. Can't be right.
A lot of people said that. What is debut? Get out of here.
Yeah. Like I know I probably missed something, but okay. All right. We'll take that.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. We'll take it wherever we can get it. So.
You say, yeah, I got that. We'll take that. A lot of people have asked me that too, have said, this is your debut? I was like, yes. My man, he actually joked with me, because big shouts to Emo. He's like, yo. He's like, yeah, he texted me one day. He was like, yeah, man, the album's like 20 years kind of late, man. But I guess for a veteran like you, it's okay.
Right?
I said, I'll take that.
Yeah. You get a pass, bro. It's all good.
Yeah. Better late than never.
Yeah, right.
Hey, facts. Facts.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not another 20 for the next one, but man, that'll be something, right? Right.
I'll start promo right now for 2040.
How do you feel now that you've gotten all the positive response to this album? Does that put like a battery in your back and you're like, oh,
yes,
like maybe I can do some more here?
Absolutely. The lady again, she's by her back. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna let this ride. She's like, no, you need to start another. You need to start some more projects in that. So I actually did that. Yeah, no, the response is great, and like you said, it actually has given me like I'm doing beats now. Like I'm doing more beats. I'm more onto my game with the turntables. I'm actually coming up with some new routines. So all of responses have definitely put a battery in my back. It's giving me more motivation to do more stuff. And I'm actually working. I'm already like 3 songs doing new projects already. I got a remix out, and I'm already like 3 songs in. I just sent them out to artists. I sent tracks to Rex and Innocent. So I'm seeing where these materialize. So I'm already like 3 to 4 songs working now. So I'm trying to see where they go and how they come out. And there might be another project soon. Probably maybe within a little less than a year, maybe.
Man, that's great.
Oh,
man, keep going, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like
Thank you.
Top of your game right now, and you just keep on going. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, gotta keep it going, and thanks.
So passionate about it. It's like, why wouldn't you?
Right? Absolutely. You said the key word.
You're setting an example for these other classic artists that might be like, oh, I don't know if I want to do an album. I don't know if I want to do a single, and then boom, like here you are, and check it out.
Thank you.
It's like overwhelming.
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, that's great. Well, as you can tell, that we're always flying the flag for classic artists who do new stuff. You know.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, but we also realize it's got to come from a genuine place, and
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As the passion is always there, but the creative mode, like you said, it has to be there, because it's like sometimes, like, I don't, sometimes we all get like that, I think, as artists, you guys as well. Sometimes we don't feel like doing stuff. Like, it's just and to force something when the motivation or the force it when it's not there is kind of like forcing it. It has to naturally come, and you have to, once you feel that feeling, that's the time to attack it and do something. And that's what I do. I let it come. If I don't feel like it, I don't force to do it. I never force creativity. If it has to come naturally. When it comes, that's when I know it's the time to get on it and do it.
Yeah. Word.
Love it.
Yep. All right. So now we got to go back. Got to go back to the beginning.
Absolutely.
To the start. What was the spark? That initial thing that made you say, all right, I want to be a DJ?
Great question. I like these questions, man. Big thanks to the C-Dot stuff.
Thank you.
Well, I come from a whole family of music. My grandmother was into the Dizzy Gillespie. She was into Louis Armstrong, that whole era. So at a young age, I was into music. I was around music for years. Then it passed down to my mom, who was in the James Brown era and all those soul artists there. So my family was constantly playing music. So from like the womb, I was around music. Always around music, always around it. And my father was a DJ in the 70s, and he DJ'd at spots like Danceteria. He played his clubs. Yeah, if you guys remember Danceteria, he was playing there, and he was at all these other spots. And he had his equipment in the house. And at 5 to 6, I can remember back when I was 5 or 6, my father used to grab me and put me up on the chair, and he used to put my hands on the turntables, like just to put them on to have a feel of them, to do that. But I started getting smart to it. So like when he would be gone, I would just jump on the chair and put the chair there, jump on it, and just start taking things off. And he would come down and be like, what are you doing? So he started actually covering it up. He had a little case. He started covering it up to do that. But my father was actually the first person that put the battery in the back to let me know what I wanted to do. Like, I got instilled in me at an early age. Then they bought me this little phonograph. It's a little phonograph turntable that they bought. They used to have these little portable ones back then. And he bought me that one. So my father was the reason that I got into it. But moving forward, I mean, at that time in New York, there was so many radio stations that were going on. I'm pretty sure Jenny could relate, using K-Day. That was like the station that was out in LA, I would presume, that was really old school New York. Back then we had stations all around the clock. We had WHBI, like KRS-One said. We had WBLS, KISS. We had the Underground World, a ton of underground stations. And I know I grew up just listening to all of this when the first hip hop record came out, the Fatback Band and Rapper's Delight. I remember listening to all this stuff was being played on the radio, and I was always listening to the radio, always, constantly. I remember it like yesterday, always listening to it. I never want to turn it off. I would record the radio, and that's when Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out were on KISS. They were always coming on. If anybody really remembers the old school, it was Red Alert one week, Chuck Chill Out, and the Latin Rascals. It was the three of them that were on KISS, and I used to listen every week. I never missed a show. And even with the underground shows, WHBI, I used to catch at 2 a.m. They would be on in the middle of the dial. BLS was Marley Marl. Marley Marl, Kevy Kev, Mr. Magic. I was recording all those shows. So I was listening to radio from there, listening to these DJs getting motivated by these guys. Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out, Marley Marl, Mr. Magic. And then later on in life, as it switched up, Pete Rock came on. Big shouts to Pete Rock. He came on the Marley Marl and Control Show, Kevy Kev. And they were there, so I was listening to them, and I would constantly listen to them back to back. I would record every chance I got. I mean, I had stacks of cassette tapes of radio shows, Stretch and Bobbito. I had stacks of them. People came to my house like, yo, say I need to copy that that tape you got. Like I was the one giving out the dubs because I would record. I would get no sleep, and I would listen, and then I finally got my first set. At 16, I got a set of belt drives, and I was DJing like that, and I was just emulating what I heard. And I was just emulating what I heard, little scratch stuff and backspinning and emulating what I was hearing on the radio. I'm not talking too much. I mean, you guys can break it.
Oh,
okay. So he said,
we're here to listen to you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I was emulating all of that stuff on my grandmother's porch. I was emulating all that stuff and trying to copy what I heard from these guys because I love them so much and I loved what they were doing. And I got to the point to where I stepped out of it for a year. I was battling. Actually, my teacher, the one that I was really messing with after my father, he came and I used to DJ him and try to battle him all the time. And he'd always beat me, and I would go home like, I'm gonna come back. And I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But I would emulate. So I got my turntables and I started doing that. And I got out of it for a little bit, for like a year. And I met these other kids, and that's when the house music era was coming through. And I got in the house from hanging with these guys and started hearing all this club music and stuff. And I was like, yo, this stuff, the freestyle, this stuff is pretty good. So I changed my whole format and got into that type of stuff. I was still scratching, but I got into the freestyle and I started getting into blending and mixing the freestyle, and which I'm glad, because those guys that I met kind of changed the trajectory of where I was going. Like, I like all types of music, but they actually, I got tons of music here. I'm dealing with like 12 terabytes worth of stuff, and I got a whole thing of freestyle and house music that I have, and I'm so happy that I ran into those guys. But fast forward, I came back to DJing regular, and I thought I was killing it. Like, I got all the cuts down. I was listening to Pete Rock, and I got, all the cuts down, and I thought I was just the best person in the world, man. I was like, yo, I'm the best DJ. I was a block star in my own right. I'm the best one. Nobody can fucking fuck him. Excuse my language. Nobody can mess with me, whatever. So my cousin Ed came to my house, and he's like, yo, Joey, man. I just came from Drew. Drew is Dr. Butcher, another member of the X-Ecutioners, is also me and Rob Swift's mentor. If you guys didn't know, at the time, his name is Drew. So Eddie came and said, yo, man, I was just at Drew's house and he was doing some crazy stuff. You got to come over there. And I'm like, man, dude, I'm the best, man. I don't believe it. Whatever. So he's like, I'm telling you, man, you got to go over there. I just seen him do some crazy stuff. And I'm like, let me go over there and see this guy. Like just real cocky attitude. Let me go over there and see this dude. And I go over there, and Dr. Butcher's a real humble guy. He said, hey, how you doing? Your cousin tells me about you. Nice to meet you. And I'm like, yeah, nice to meet you too. I'm in my head, I'm like, I'm waiting to see what he's talking about. Like, I'm like, and Drew is just like he's short, he's like 5'5", and I see the turntable set up. And he's like, yeah, I DJ a little bit and stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, get on. So we both were sitting there. He's like, well, do you want to get on? I'm like, no, you go ahead. So eventually he was like, okay, I'll go. So to make a long story short, when he got on, I did not want to get on anymore. That was just the last. It was like that was it. He put me like out. Like when I seen what he did, I just froze up and I didn't want to get on. And I knew that from that moment that I got to learn from this guy, because I don't know what this guy just did. And I don't know any of what he just did. Like nothing. I thought I was ill. So I had to backtrack and like, so he was real humble. He was like, look, man, you could come over anytime you want. He was like, I got another person that comes over here, another guy that comes over with me. He comes over here. He also comes, and his name is Rob. And that's how I met Rob Swift. That was the first intro, how I met Rob. Wow. And at a very young age. And Drew took us in, and we were going over there, and Rob was practicing, and we were practicing. And then Drew started showing us these tapes. And before that time, I was only exposed to radio DJs that were like Pete Rock and all these guys. I didn't know about a DMC or a New Music Seminar. I was totally oblivious to any of that. And Drew had the tapes of these guys, like the 88. He had Cash Money on tape. He had Steve D. Big shouts to him, who was the founder of the X-Men. He had all of these people on tape and all these guys doing this and these tricks and standing up and on there. And I'm like, wow, what the hell is this? Like, I'm not doing any of this stuff. Like, I got to go back to the drawing board, man. I got to take it back to the basics and try to just rebuild myself because I don't know none of this. So that's when I was exposed to that type of world and what you can actually do with turntables as far as tricks and all this other stuff. I mean, back then I used to see Cutmaster DC take a basketball and use that with the fader. That's old school right there.
And the crutch. And he had the crutch too.
And the crutch. You see, I knew I messed with you, C-Doc. And Flatline. Sorry about that. I knew I messed with you. Yeah. I knew because Ultramag. I'm seeing different cabins. Ultramag.
There you go.
I'm gonna mess with Ultramag, and I got all y'all here, so you're confused. Ultramag is like, well, Flatline is under me. So yeah. So and I remember Grandmaster D used to be he was so short, and I don't know if anybody remembers this. I remember the show that Houdini had, Grandmaster D was like 5'3". He was a short guy, and when he used to come out and do his tricks, they had two guys pick him up from both his legs, hang him upside down, and he would be DJing like that. So, yeah.
You never saw any of the DJ battles at like the New Music Seminar?
I haven't seen Grandmaster D hung upside down.
Yes.
They did that on Hip Hop Honors. They did it. You can see it. It's on camera.
Yes, they did. You could go and check that out. Yeah. You can go and check that out, Flatline. You could definitely check that out because they have it on there.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, Flatline.
Maybe I've seen it. I just don't remember, but I feel like I remember.
You'll find one of my buddies, Joe Cooley.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say.
Big respect to Joe Cooley. Oh yeah, that's a name, Joe Cooley. That right there, like Jenny pulled out because he's like a legend in his own right. He was on those tapes as well, and he's like one of the pioneers of it, like way better. Like, so many people learn from Joe Cooley, including, I'm pretty sure if Qubit was on this feed right now, Qubit would tell you that he got a lot of stuff from Joe Cooley. You know, because Joe Cooley was
no joke.
Yeah, he was very good. Big shouts to Joe Cooley too. Like he was great. He was really. Thanks, Jen, for pulling that out. That actually was a great thing. So,
hey, speaking of tapes.
Yeah.
You still have your tapes? The radio shows?
Some of them miraculously disappeared, like on the Wu-Tang album. Cats came over before and blunts and stuff ended up missing. Stuff ended up missing. People think somebody, but I still have some. I have some of them. So I'm grateful to have that.
For that? Wasn't Chuck looking for
what? He was. I think he was looking for. Yeah, well, he always.
He asked Matthew. He asked Matthew if he had any of the old
stuff. Yeah, he's always looking for stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I might be able to help Chuck out. That big shouts to Chuck D. Big shouts to Chuck D. I'm a huge fan of Public Enemy, and I have so many of their songs. I never missed one Public Enemy album in my life. One. I still have all of them right here in my hard drive. So big shouts to Chuck, Public Enemy, Flavor Flav. Big shouts to him, man, because he was a pivotal turn in my life too. When the tracks and the songs that they came out with was I didn't mean to be sidetracked, but I had to mention that because that was a big turning point in my life with Public Enemy. They those dudes are incredible, and they still are. Am I right? Even Chuck stuff. I have no Chuck the single he did. I have that. I used to blast that.
Yeah.
No more than that. I still do. So just being in all that stuff, seeing the DMCs and stuff, and Rob was at the time. Rob was joined the '93 DMC. He came in third. He should have came in second, but he came in third. And Steve and Rock Raider from the X-Men happened to be at that battle because Raider was in the battle, and so was Steve. Steve actually won that battle. So. Rob came in third, and I think Rob was a little bit upset that he came in third, and he was really distraught about it, and he let it be known at the battle. So when Steve saw that, Steve came to Rob, was like, "Look, He told them, you know how that goes, just, be okay. And they embraced Rob, and Rob started to go uptown to where they were, because that's where Raider and Steve and all of them were at the time, and that's where they would go practice. And Rob started going up there to practice. In case anybody doesn't know, the X-Men, we were a very introverted unit. We were very introverted. We didn't practice with anybody. We only practiced with each other. We didn't want anybody, not being selfish, but we only had our own little crew. We wanted to keep our stuff special, because there were a lot of other crews. So we were introverted. We battled each other. So if we had to battle you in any type of seminar, believe me, we studied you, we saw you, and we were already ready, timed, and all that stuff. We weren't playing around. We came in anywhere. So Rob started to go up there, and this before me. And when Rob started to go up there, he was battling, and he was showing me the tapes. Like, yo, these guys are great. I need to bring you up there. And I was like, well, he was like, Joey, but you just got to practice a little bit more. You're not really as good as these guys. And that was enough for me to practice for I remember practicing back then for 8 hours a day. Every day was 8 hours a day for a year, 2 years, 3 years. I remember I would eat. I would only take breaks to eat. I wouldn't go out much. I would stay in and practice. I love music anyway, so I would always call Rob and be like, yo, how's this sound? How does it sound? He'd be like, hey, okay, you got to do a little bit more. Wait, how does this sound? Man, I was a pain in Rob's ass for a couple years. And he kept answering though, like, yo. So then I finally did something. And he was like, yo, that's it. That's dope. I like that. So he finally felt it was ready for me to go up there. And when I got up there and I was in front of Raider, rest in peace to Rock Raider, Raider, Sean C., Johnny Cash, and I already knew these guys' history. I already knew how they were, and I got nervous all over again. I was like, damn, I don't know if I'm good enough. And Rob was like, yo, just do what you do. Just don't worry about it. Just do what you were doing in your house. Just don't let them get you nervous. And I remember Sean was the most cockiest one, like, yo, I got some new shit for somebody. And I just was like, well, they're not kind of helping. they're not helping me at all. I'm trying to fit in. And these guys are like, so I kept going up there. And then eventually I came into my own, and they actually put me down. So that's how I got down. And then Rob entered the 92, because you remember that's 93. Rob was in the 91. Excuse me, I got back. The 91, he came in third. So after that, he went back because he was hungry. He was a little pissed off that he came in third, and he was determined to win the 92. So he had me, because we're from the same neighborhood. He had me come, Joey, can you come time me? Can you come time me? And I would go to Rob's house every other day for 6 months and just go to his house, time him, and go home. Go to his house, time him, and go home. And it was a repetitive action. And when Rob joined the 92 DMC, if anybody, you can see it on tape, the 92 DMC, I'm standing next to him, passing him his records. And I got this ridiculous, it's me, because I got this ridiculous Kid and Play flat top that I finally got convinced to cut off. But you'll see me handing them the record. Yeah, I mean, believe me, I had that Kid and Play haircut for a minute, and they didn't even have it anymore, and I still had it. So I was like, all right, somebody told me I had to cut it off. I think I went to the barbershop that day. But some little kid was like, yo, that haircut's played out. That was it for me. I went right into the barbershop, and then the barbershop dude was like, yo, man, I got to charge you a little extra because you're going to make me do a lot of work with this shit. I got a lot of hair to cut. So he won that. He won that. And I was happy for Rob at that point, because it was like an elation for me, because I seen that he was able to do it, and he was able to come back and win. And I was like, wow. So that set off in me, well, look, I'm going to join the battle for 93. I'm going to do it because I saw he did it. And I started to practice myself and kept practicing. And then the following year, I joined the 93 DMC. I joined the seminar first, and that was the first year that the seminar was available to the industry, because before that, it was only a no thing. People from the underground only knew about it. You had to know somebody knew it. But the 93 one that I joined was the first time they started letting the industry in, like the press and the Source and all of these other guys. So it was actually a great time for me to join. And I was nervous. I got through the rounds. I was a little sloppy in some rounds, but I got it together as I started picking up, and I made it to second place. And my first competition ever from anybody ever hearing me, people were like, "Yo, I think you should have won." And I was like, "Look, I don't even care about a win. All I know is that people enjoyed what I did, and that is what I set out to do, is come in and make a mark and let people know that I can get busy. That was my whole thing. It wasn't about winning for me. It was just about going in and letting people know, hey, Sinus is a musician. This guy's good in the turntables. And they have a saying, sometimes to lose is to win, you know? And from that seminar, Raider was offered to go on tour with Cypress Hills at the time. Muggs was doing. That's when all these guys were blowing up. It was a Soul Assassins tour, if anybody remembers that.
Wow.
The lineup was Joe Fatal. He was the opener.
Shout out to our buddy Joe Fatal.
Shout out to Joe Fatal. Shout out to him. You know, Joe is actually the Fatal. Big shout out to him was the first one. I was Joe's DJ. He's the one that got me out to traveling and touring.
Yeah.
Like I went from the seminar to that tour, which was House of Pain, Funk Dubious, the Hooligans, who was one of the members of Alchemist.
Yeah.
I remember seeing these guys as young kids.
Yeah.
They were young. They were like 11, 12 years old on tour. And Cypress Hills was the headliner, of course. And from Joe actually took me on the road. He was the opener. And he had 2 records out at that time. It was Timber and Past the Crons.
Yep.
And from seminar to stages of like 25, I was extremely nervous. Like this is brand new to me. And it just being on that tour was like a game changer, and it just got me exposed to being around large crowds and got me in meeting different people in the industry like Muggs. I got to meet Muggs. I got to meet Everlast. I mean, the guys I looked up to were guys I was fans of, like Everlast and Be Real and all these guys. And I'm around these guys, so I'm at a young age. I'm like 20, 22, 23. I mean, the feeling was crazy. Like it was a great feeling. I can't help but smile every time I say it. It just was a great feeling. The B Nuts as well. Yeah. What?
Guess what I just found on YouTube?
What is it?
Says Mista Sinista 1993 USA DMC Finals.
Hey, Jenny doing the homework. Are you gonna watch it?
I just found the video.
Oh, okay, okay.
See it?
You said y'all want to see it? Oh man, okay. All right. So Jenny has it.
It's here.
You have it? You want to bring it up?
Come on now.
Hold on.
Oh, okay. I mean, we fall back.
Yeah, you can't tease us like that.
You
know?
Huh?
You can't
What'd
tease
you
us.
say?
You can't be like, that's what I just found. But you can't watch it right now.
Oh, wow.
Hear it?
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Nah, no audio.
No audio.
You know why?
What is it?
Why?
There's rap hands and then there's DJ hands. That's DJ hands.
DJ Silent. I got to change my name. DJ Silent Sinister.
Right with you. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right with you.
Okay. I can still see you guys on the side of the screen. Wow, that was a quick silent debut, man. Well, round of applause.
Man, if you were able to do that and still get second place, amazing.
Hey, I got a lot of tricks up my sleeve, man.
Right?
I come in second without nobody hearing anything.
Right.
Hey.
Most amazing shit ever.
Word, man.
I don't
Look,
know
that's
why it won't show.
the audio is showing. It's just the audio.
I don't know why it won't.
Is it muted on the video?
No, it's probably
It's okay.
because it's not
It's-
playing, so you can hear it through the microphone.
Yeah, it's a StreamYard thing. I think.
Got you. Okay. You guys can watch it on your personal time, I guess. There's plenty. I know it's up there, so you guys can put that on and watch that stuff. But yeah, thank you, Jenny, for that attempt to play the video.
Hey, I'm
Appreciate
working on it. Hold on.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You know, you
Give me
Jennifer.
a second.
Jennifer James will come through.
Bish.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, go ahead. You guys have something to say?
Oh no, I always bring out some props, but I wanted to actually I did a video of this on my page, but you did the scratches.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
you got it too.
Wow. Oh man. See, there's a CD there and a tape.
Yes.
I got the wax over there, but I can't get it.
Wow. No, okay. C-Doc's like, look, yeah, I got it. I'm not picking it up. Y'all know they already showed.
Yep.
Yes, I was just about to go into the big shouts to Juju and Psycho Les. Those guys. Yes, I did the scratches on the Street Level album. 2 tracks scratches was Are You Ready and Super Bad. And yeah, those guys, big shout to the Mighty Vic too. Those guys, and big shouts to them. And big shouts to Vic as well. Vic is the one that did the Are You Ready track, and he's the one that got me into the studio with Ju and Les. But Juju was living around my neighborhood in Corona. Big shouts to Corona, Queens. Bang. But those guys, I owe my whole basically career to those guys, because those guys were the first ones to believe in me and put me on wax. And that's where I ever had my first credit on albums, and which is just to let any DJ know out there, I always stress this: credits are very important. It's a track record. It's your resume. Like DMCs come and go. You know, you could be a champion, but then there's always another champion next year, and you get respected for it. But the credits on albums are timeless. People can always go back and be like, "Who did the work?" Real artists, people that are in the business, they look on the back of albums to see who did what. And those guys brought me on tour as well with them. And they also were the first ones ever to take me from just people knowing me from DMC and Seminar to now in the business. Because when I started dealing with them, I got close to Relativity and got into the labels and just the industry in general. So those guys changed the whole trajectory of my career. And probably if it wasn't for doing that with them, who knows where my career would have ended up or what turn it would have took. But they came in and they steered me in another direction, which is a great direction to go further, you know? So big shouts to Psycho Les and Juju, the Beatnuts in fashion. Big shout to all of them guys.
We had
the first 6 minutes.
Wow. That's Al Tariq, big shout. Yep. Big shouts to Al Tariq, another guy, you know, of course, he was part of the Beatnuts.
Cool ass Fash.
Cool Fash. Everybody's remember Cool Fash. Cool ass Fash. JC Doc, no, I like that. You know, it's always good talking to people that know, because this is great. They cool Fash. I actually did cuts for him. He has a song coming out. I don't know when, but he reached out to me like 6 months ago, and he was like, "Sam, I need you to do some scratches for this joint," because you know him and Butcher still talk.
Yeah.
And Butcher, he told Butcher, "Yo, get in touch with Sim for me. I need him to do some scratches." And I did something for him. So he got some new stuff coming. Be on the lookout for that from Cool Fast, Al Tariq.
We had him on the show last year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we had him on the show last year. And I had to tell him that, you know, that Beatnuts, the self-titled, Street Level. We had an argument about it. But anyway.
I can imagine.
It is one of my personally, it is what I know the Beatnuts.
There's no title.
But
so that's a good interview, Wow.
It's one of my all-time favorite albums. I mean,
nice. I think it's one of mine too.
Yeah. It's just there's not a bad song on it, you know?
No. Those
and your scratches at the end is super bad. When you just gotta go off.
I think that with those, it was funny because that was such a long session. And Vic had this thing where, but that was Les's session, and it was a thing where Dave stood. There was days we would stay in the studio all night. We would go in at like 6, and we would not get out until 12 o'clock that morning. So I think I was like, yo, you know what? I want to finish these up. And that's how I did those. Like, I got a story about all that if you guys got time. But those scratches, I was like, look, I want to finish it up. I want to finish. Yeah. I want to finish it up. So I just did this long ass scratch. And that's what I was like, yo, I'm done, right? I'm finished, right? And Les was like, yeah, you're done. We're going to leave it like that. And it actually, it came out. People were like, "Yo, man, that long ass scratch came out really good."
So dumb.
Yeah, I mean it's such a great way to end that song. I just
Thank you. Super bad. The bass line was crazy. Big shout out to Juju for that track too.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah,
man. Those were the days, man. Every time I always sing the Archie Bunker, the All in the Family song, man, because I have to do it because those are the days. I try to recapture that with my album. I really did. That was what was in my head to recapture those days to be in the studio. I mean, back then there was no disrespect to it. But back then, there was no copy and pasting, do this verse and push it here. Right. Back then, you had to be inside the studio. Everybody was in the studio. That's how the chemistry came. Like if you hear the DJs scratch back in the days, you would hear the first chorus, and then sometimes in the second chorus, they'd switch up something else, a different switch, because it was 2-inch. It was no, all right, I'm going to do these scratches now, and then I'm just going to fly them to the next part.
Right.
It wasn't that. You literally had to redo what you did. And that's why that music came out. The music came out the way it did back in the days. And I'm pretty sure that Flatline, C-Docs, Ultimag, Jetty, y'all all can relate to that. That was our era, you know?
Yeah.
All right, y'all want to see this or no?
You got it off silent DJ mode, right?
I
Oh, got it.
What you got for us, Jetty?
Oh, good sound. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, this is. The skip. The long intro. Okay, here we go. Oh, wow. Wow, let's bring it back.
Look at Rob bobbing his head.
Yeah, he's on the left. You see him, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Quite still clown with us.
Oh. A little rough edges on this routine.
I'm not quite through. I got another funky break. You hit it. Got another funky break right through. Hit it. I got another funky for you. I'm not quite through. I got another funky break. You hit it. I got another break. Funky break. I got another break. Funky break. I got another break. Funky break. I got another break. Funky break for you. Hit it.
Ah. Ah.
I got another funky break.
Yeah.
I got another funky break.
Wow, memory.
How did you choose the record?
Jock the Butcher gave me that record. He was like, yo, man, I really think you could do something on this record. He had a little something with it, so I just took it and added to it. And this is a great record to mess with too. Just his parts.
Right.
P-Ski Valley.
Yes. Oh, man, this routine bringing back.
Wow.
Oh, what's next? Oh, this is the. I don't know if this is the Destruction. Yeah, you see me. The record, it was so hot on stage, the records would melt. They were like bending. I think this one right here. Let's see. Let's see how these tracks came out.
Oh, yeah,
Everything's jumping.
Yeah.
They're warped, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. This shit jumping all over the place. Oh, okay. Oh, damn. It jumped in vocals. Okay, well, I guess that we can get rid of that.
Something like that.
Something like that,
Something
right?
like that. Wow.
This
you.
is how into that video I was. I only noticed that you had the Beat Nuts t-shirt on in the last like 20 seconds.
Oh, I didn't even notice. See?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, it's
I was
true.
watching
though.
the hands.
Yes.
Hands work.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny, for playing that video.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, that was great.
Can we talk about another album you did? The scratches for. I got two copies. I got two copies.
Wait, y'all must have like some crates of records on there because you guys were pulling out stuff. You got a tape crate and Flatline has a record crate under him. So
Flatline has everything.
Yeah, I know he's just pulling out every. I C-Docs went. C-Docs went.
He went to go find something.
He went somewhere. I know he's coming back with something.
Yeah. Well,
Wow,
yeah.
you guys was.
I mean, I guess if we're gonna represent all the
There we go. There we go.
Oh man, you guys.
Although I do have the original Common Sense CD. So
Wow. Okay. Wow, you guys are great. This is great. I give respect to Ultimag because he pulled out a cassette.
Yeah.
Cassette.
I got hundreds of them. This cassette just came in the mail today. I'm still getting cassettes.
That's the Super Nat. You was talking about that, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes. Oh,
Just came in the mail today.
Wasn't that on that? Who was on? Wasn't that the song? This is the way he manifested when he Buddha blessed it.
Yep.
Buddha blessed it. Yeah.
Buddha blessed it. Yep. That was that. Yeah. That
Mind
was
tricks the body. Body thinks the mind is crazy. That one.
Big shouts to Super Nat. He was great. But y'all pull out that the Resurrection. Great album. Big shouts to Rashid Common. Big shouts to him. That guy, I got nothing but great stuff to say about him, man. Like me and him had a great chemistry. And I met him actually through doing scratches with the B-Nuts in Relativity because I was going into the label. And Peter Kang was the B-Nuts manager who ended up being my manager as time went on. And because, I was connected with him and he was bringing me, just from being on the B-Nuts album, he was bringing me work. He was bringing me work from Relativity. And Common he was already in as you guys know, the Unsigned Hype. He got into the Source and Unsigned Hype. And
got the magazine.
Wow. So he did Can I Ball with Dollar? That was already out. That made some noise for him. So he was in the midst of working on his Resurrection, which is that album. And Peter came to me like, yo, I want you, if you want to do work with Common Sense, he needs some scratches. I was like, yeah, bet. And he was like, yeah, he wants you to do like 2 songs. And that's how it started. I was like, yeah, bet. I'm with it. I went to the studio. There was Mirror Image in Long Island, which is a great studio. Big shouts to Mirror Image. Big shouts to Troy Hightower because he's the one that mixed that album. Great engineer. So when I went in the studio, I met Common, Rashid. That's why I know, and very nice guy. Yeah, I like the way you work and whatever. So The songs I did was the first ones was Watermelon and some shit I wrote. And while I was in there, I left, I went home, and then I came back. And the next time I came back, I was like, you know what I should do? I bought a copy. I had the video of what Jen just showed you, the 92 DMC. I bought that in because they had a VCR in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought the video in, and while we were hanging out, because we were in the studio for a month for the album. I'll let you know, we didn't. Artie went home once, and that was when I came back. We stayed in the studio for a month. We slept in the studio. We woke up. That album was in house. We were in a month.
Wow.
That's why it came out the way it did. We was constant every day working on that album, because Common wanted it like that. He wanted to do it. So I bought the tape in the downtime. I was playing the video. I told Troy, can you pop the video in? And Common came in. He went out to eat something. He came in, was watching. He was like, "That's you?" And I said, "Yeah, that's me. I was in the DMC." He's like, "Yo, man, you killing it up there." And from that, he asked me. I had finished the second song, and he said, "Look, dude, I would, if you want to do more, you can." And he said, "Honestly, I want you to do the whole album." I said, "Bet." And I was like, "You don't have to ask me twice. I'll do the whole album." So that was the birth. It was originally started at 2 with that album, and then he ended up wanting me to do the whole album. And the funny part about it is I ran through everything, and the song Resurrection that is most people know to be for the scratches for was the last and hardest song that I did, because we did everything else. In Resurrection, I could not find anything for it. It was late, and I couldn't find nothing for it. Absolutely not. And I was like, and I remember telling him that, and it was like 2 a.m. And he was like, Sin, just go to sleep. Let it breathe. Maybe you'll get up in the morning and find it. And I had a nice and smooth record on the turntable. This is exactly how it happened. No exaggeration. And I woke up and it was on the turntable, and I said, I don't know why I didn't think of this. Like, he says that in No Delaying. And that morning at 8:30, I put it on and I did it. And we both looked at each other and smiled and said, "That's it."
Wow.
Yeah, that's how that came about.
You know what's so dope about it's so subtle and simple with those scratches, but the whole song you're cutting Resurrection, then it fades down, then it's like Resurrect. I'm like, yo, that's the illest. That's the illest. Thank you. That was Troy Hightower. Big shouts to him. Again, Troy had that idea. Troy was like, "Yo, I think if we just fade it down like you're going and then come back up and then you just get back into it." And it was like, but then it's like Resurrect. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Thank you, man. Thank you. That makes, I'm very, very, that makes you feel very great that people respond, that people radiated to that like that, and that you guys are like that. That always makes me feel good when people say that, because I know the process of making it and what it was, and it's just a beauty to know that it came out like that and the people have responses with that like that. So, that started the relationship with me and Common. And he said, "Look, man, I don't have a tour DJ." And I was like, "You don't have to ask me twice." and I remember Drew, Dr. Butcher, big shouts to him. I remember telling him I was so excited, man. I was like, "Man, I'm going on the road with Common." And he was like, "Yo, Drew always had like a hindsight. He was always like a 10 times spiritual. Like, he was always gave you some good food to take with you." And he was like, "Yo, yeah, man, you're gonna see, man, like it's better, man, because it's just you. Like, you're not in competition with anybody. You're not battling. You're not on the stage with 6 guys. Like, it's just you. The showcase is just you. Like, now it's you by yourself. It's your stage." And so I did tours with him. I actually did some tours with him. And there was a time where we went on the road, X-Ecutioners, B-Nuts, and Common together. So I've done plenty of tours with Common. We went to Japan together. We went overseas. And when it came time to do the second album, of course, I did the scratches for the album too as well. The whole One Day It'll All Make Sense.
Yeah.
And I did all of those. So it went on. It went on for that. And the funny part about it was Troy Hightower, the engineer he did all of the other Common joints, and he knew me. He met me at the time of my life when I was just coming to DMC. This stuff was new. I was excited, and I was, and it's funny because this is years later. I haven't seen him. This is like after a few times on the road, being on the road all those years and coming. I remember they told me a Common asked you to come to Chicago to rehearse, and they were like, "Well, you're going to be meeting Troy Hightower there," and I was like, "Wow, it's been like 7 years since I seen Troy." I was like, "I'm glad." So I saw Troy in the airport, and I was just talking to him regular. And I'm like, "Yo," talking to him, and all this time he's just sitting there looking at me and just leaning back and just smiling at me like. And I'm like, I let it go for like 7 minutes. I didn't say anything. I'm like, well, either his face is glued like that, but I said, Troy, what are you smiling for, man? Like, why are you smiling like that? He's just like, yo, no, it's just, I see the growth in you. Like, I remember when you first came into the studio, how you were, like, you were just like brand new. And now, like, after all the tours and stuff and being out and getting a little more spirit, like, he's just seeing like the growth and how I like was talking to him and different and how I was reacting. And it's kind of deep. And I was like, wow, that's something. So I guess the experience he's seen of what it is, like how you can see when somebody first starts out or something, and when they do it for a minute, you could tell like their mentality changes, like they've been through a little more. And then that's what he noticed in me. And I was like, wow, that's deep. I called him the next day, like, Troy, that's deep. That's fucking mad deep, man. It's kind of deep, man. But understood. So yeah, so that's what it was. And I would have still been with Common today. What happened with that and why I didn't, I was his road DJ, and we released our debut album. So at one point we were able, for Asphodel, we were able to travel and do things together because it was independent. But when we went to Loud Records, dates were conflicting, and now we were our own team, and we patterned ourselves like a group, so like a band, and we each needed each other. So there were times where we had to commit as the X-Ecutioners, and I had to tell Common, well, look, I didn't want to go, but of course I had to be a part of the group now, like, because they can't do it without me. So I had to kind of leave that alone. And then Dummy stepped in, and Dummy's been DJing with him ever since. And big shouts to Dummy, because Dummy's another great DJ. Big shouts to DJ Dummy, and he's been with Common for all his time, and he's rolled with Common as going on to his acting career and what he's doing now. So I seen Common at the this was like 6 years ago, let me see, maybe 4 years ago. He was performing at this Brooklyn thing. It was it's like a big festival, and Dummy saw me in the crowd. He's like, come here. I gotta bring you back to go see him. He wants to see you. And he got me back there, and I got a chance to talk to him, and because I hadn't spoken to Common in a long time, I got a chance to speak to him. He's like, yo, what you been doing? I see what you out there doing and stuff. And he actually shouted me out on stage. He always does that. Even if I'm not there, he shouts me out. And he always shouts me out and goes, yo, Mr. Sinista was doing the cuts like this and all that stuff. So I'm actually, I know he's busy. He's busy. I've spoken to him. He was out here a while ago, and I didn't get to hook up, but I'm actually trying to get him for possibly on my second project. I know I'm trying to get him to do something, which will probably be, I know he's working with P-Rock again, which is great. And you know, we did the Bitch and You, which was P-Rock produced. I did the scratches and on the remix. And so I'm hoping I get a call for that.
That would be good.
Yeah, it would be nostalgic. People already hitting them up. I see on P-Rock's page. They're like, yo, you got to get Sinista on the scratches, It's got to be classic. So I'm kind of praying that happens and that they, they reach out to me and,
Everybody go to the page and let's put that in the comments.
Bro, let's protest. Let's protest, y'all.
So yeah, I was gonna ask about Expressions. How did that album come about? How did you guys, X-Men to X-Ecutioners, decide, hey, we're gonna do a record?
Wow. Well, from all the shows that we were doing back in the days, we gained a lot of traction. Because because we were doing a lot of shows back then. We were doing a lot. I mean, we were in California with the Pickles. We were getting place shows in Vinyl in New York, Vinyl, Tramps, everywhere in New York. We were around, all around, and we gained a lot of traction. And Joe brought us on the road. This label, Not Human, big shout out to Not Human. He's the first one. He was like, yo, he hit Rob up and was like, yo, I'm going to do an album with you guys. And we were like, what? We were like, album? Yes. So that, he put money up. I mean, and he was like, look, I really believe in what you guys do. And he was based out of California, and he gave us our deal. He gave us a check. And when we got the check in our hand, we were like, wow, we made it. Like, we felt like we made an accomplishment. We were like, wow, from all these shows, from DMCs, so practicing with each other in the house, to DMCs, to shows, to a record deal. And it was like, wow, I mean, this is great. And that's how the Expresses came about. And Asphodel was very generous. They had a good amount of money, put us in the budget. We went in the studio. We went in the Power Play. That's when we recorded the album, Power Play Studios in New York. And Dino was the guy that engineered it. And we, again, were in the studio. At the time, there was no Pro Tools. There was none of that stuff out. I mean, I guess it was out maybe a little bit, but we were in the studio for that whole album. I remember doing Wordplay, the single, on a 4-track in my house, because that's what it was a 4. Remember the old track was the tape? You got to get a cassette.
Yep.
I remember doing that. Most of my ways that you remember that shit, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Most of my ways are still old school to this day. Like I feel comfortable working that way. Like Wordplay was on a 4-track. I organized all the scratches on a 4-track, and then I knew exactly how it sounded. And when I got into the studio, I was able to tell the engineer exactly what I wanted, what parts to go to, whatever. So all of us were in the studio for that album. We all were in the studio for the whole album. We were around each other. We were in the studio. There was no later part. So that's what album came out the way it did. And then we were on the road, and we did not expect that album to do what it did. I mean, for an independent label, with no promotion, no video, we did the album in I don't know, was it the first couple of weeks? It did 91,000 copies.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
And this is amazing, for no promo and no video out, just on the name alone. It's something brand new. It was great. And I remember walking out of Fat Beats, and there was a huge Tower Records. It was one of the biggest Tower Records in Manhattan that was right there across the street. I remember we were walking out of Fat Beats, and they had the big X-Ecutioners Expressions banner in the window. And we're like, and we're all looking at each other like, wow, you see this? And we're taking pictures of it. And Rob was like, yo, we got to get on the train real quick, man. I don't want nobody to see us getting on the train right now. He's like, yeah, man, we supposed to have we're big, people see us get on the train. They probably think he was joking, but it was funny. But yeah, it went from that to that, and out of nowhere. So that's big shouts to Not Human for doing that. And of course, when we put the single out, we put X-Men, and as you noticed, it didn't have a dash, because they wanted to make sure that we were able to clear it. So I love Stan Lee for stuff, but of course Stan Lee was like, no, I don't want to clear that name. So we couldn't clear the X-Men. So if you see on the first single, we spelled it where there wasn't a dash. It just said X-Men.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't let us clear it, because we tried to ask him, and he was like, no, I don't want my name associated with. Okay, so we still respect Stan Lee. X-Men, comic books can't, but X-Ecutioners was an idea we had it was going to be Shortcut. It was going to be another division of DJs that we had that were going to come under us. There was going to be no more X-Men. It was the next generation was going to be X-Ecutioners. And that was what the X-Ecutioner name was for. But once they pulled that bullshit, we couldn't use the X-Men name. We we were like, well, I guess we're the executioners. Rob was like, well, I guess we're the executioners. I bet. Let's be the execute. Hey, same thing. Let's do it. So
right.
That's where that came about, where the transition came from executioners. And we had lastly for that subject, we had a second deal. Not Human, they wanted to put out another album with us. And Sean C actually was the A&R, who's one of the members of the original X-Men, was working at Loud. He was a A&R guy there. And we were in California one day at one of our shows, and Steve Rifkin, the owner, the president of Loud, happened to be in the crowd. And he saw us do our 4-man show, and he immediately said, he called Sean, it's like, dude, I want to sign those guys. Like, just for seeing us. He's like, I want to sign those guys. I want those guys. And Sean told us the news, and of course he went to Not Human, and Not Human, he was a little upset, but he knew that we were at a turning point in our career, and he didn't want to stop that. He wanted to let us grow. And he said, look, I wanted to do a second album with you guys, but he was like, look, I wish you guys the best. I can't offer you what Loud can offer you. Of course, they have more of a resource. They have a bigger machine. They have Sony behind them. So he was like, look, it was great working with you guys, and I wish you guys the best. And he let us go. Yeah. And we also, when we were on Loud too, we had people probably knows this. Rob can tell it better. I can tell it somewhat. But Rick Rubin had wanted to sign us as well. We were in the middle of Rick Rubin, and Rick Rubin had a you're dealing with Rick Rubin, who's created massive hits and created so many. And wow, Rick Rubin, wow. And we were like, let's take time to figure this out, because Rick Rubin knew that we were going to Loud. And he was like, look, I'll let you guys make a decision. Let me know, whatever. But Rick Rubin had it. He wanted to promote us like a rock band. He was like, look, I got the whole plan for you guys. I want you to go out like a rock band. And this is what it is. You guys have just got turntables, but you guys are going to be a band. Like, wow. And that was like an ill concept, like, because we are, basically. Right. And he had all it, but he had an umbrella. He was under an umbrella of a label. I don't know which one it was, but which really made no difference, because it's still Rick Rubin, Right. Really, I don't give a fuck if they gave him a fucking bullshit label. Like, he's gonna make something happen, So we decided that it was a vote, and I really wanted to go with Rick Rubin at the time, and I think one other person, but we decided that Loud was. Let's go with Loud, because Loud had all these popular, like Wu-Tang. They had Loud was just coming with the array of hits. Wu-Tang. They had Pun, MOP, and all they were. We were like, well, the rock thing is cool. Maybe for the long would have been good, but we think the Loud, for the hip hop and what's going on, we'll go with Loud, because they and Loud actually did good by us. They're great. We took a minute to work on our album, and we got Linkin Park on the second album, which is, we got them, which is actually a great look. That's what put us into that kind of like rock hip hop genre. Yeah. Yep. Which is great, and we, I think Loud was spending a lot of money. This is like some back notes. Loud was spending a lot of money, and I think Sony got to the point to where they were like, well, look, they told Steve Rifkin, there's a lot of money being spent, and like a lot at that time, most of the Wu-Tang artists had, they put Inspector Deck out extremely late. I mean, because all the Grandmasters blew up, and they were just like fading. Loud was like kind of like going off the hit level, and out of nowhere, Loud just started dropping people because of Sony, and they dropped a lot of people. They dropped. I think they dropped MOP. They dropped the Beat Nuts. They dropped Mobb Deep. But these guys at this point were able to go independent, because I think Prodigy and them came out with an album. They came out with what is that? Free Agents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they remember that album, Free Agents. They came out with the album. I mean, at that point, when you got all that, it didn't really make a difference to them, because they were already, at that point, you can go on your own and your name will sell itself, You get another deal anywhere, So we were scared, because we were like, wow, we weren't finished our album. And I think that's the only thing that saved us, is that Loud was like, well, we don't know what they're going to do. So they Sony was kind of like, all right, well, we, they're different. We don't know what they're gonna do yet. It's not like we released them already and they're still finishing. So they kind of figured they had, all right, well, they're still like an asset to the label because we don't know they can do something, and we were safe. So it was like a couple of months of holding our breaths, and then it was like we exhaled, like, okay, we're safe. We're gonna come out. And then they only kept us, Exhibit, and Paperboy, I think.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was shocking that he kept, and of course, Pun was I think he had passed away at that time. So I mean that album was still there, but that was the backstory on that, and yeah, we that was how all of that came about, and it was an amazing journey, man. It was a very amazing journey.
What was the big difference you noticed between recording Expressions independently? And now you're in the majors. You're with Sony for Built from Scratch and Revolutions.
The difference with that was like you basically just summed it up. Is we were raw at that time. Our mentality was raw. We were very, very extremely thirsty. We were still thirsty for the Loud album, but we were around each other in the studio. It was a whole studio session. We were around each other. And then as the Built from Scratch era came, of course, that was the DAT era. The ADAT. Remember the ADATs? Yeah. So now you were able to record in your house and you were able to do all that, which made it comfortable.
Yeah.
So Raider had the ADAT in his house. He had that. So then we were starting to go to his house to record stuff, and we would do that. And we would get parts from other people. There were some studio sessions where mostly were parts sent to us that we were doing, and we were more work from the house, which was still around, but a little less of a lot of being in studio work. That's what I could say. So it was more of, okay, well, we can do it anytime we want because we can go to Raider's house. Then we'll get this part from this guy. So it wasn't a constant studio session where we had to be there every day and just do raw shit and just be there. So that was the big difference from that. And the studio session and the Expressions session was uncomparable because it was the Built from Scratch session that never compared to that. Could never compare to that session because that was that time and that moment to where we were just great. But it was both experiences were still good though.
Yeah.
Just one was more raw and authentic than the second one.
Yeah. When did you start producing?
A minute ago, a long time ago. Producing Big Shouts to Argo Smart. I was that was my first guy that had me. He was producing and I was doing scratches for him. He got me into making the beats. So I would say 1994 maybe. I started. I got an SP1200. I still love that machine.
Yeah.
That was my first machine. The SP1200. That was the basic setup back then. The SP1200 and a Kai 950. That was the setup that you had. And some guys had the MPC 60. It was either you had the 1200 and the Kai 950, or you had the MPC 60, which was Roger Lynn, who was the original guy that made the swing on the MPC, which is great. So yeah, in '94 I got my machine. I started to produce, and I did some production for like independent artists like Cuckoo the Bag of Bones. I did something for Don Scavone, Princess Superstar.
I was gonna say Princess Superstar.
Yep. Hey, you already know I had to put that in, Ultimag. Yep. You remember the remix? Come on to my room.
Hey, listen, hold on. Me and Sinister were on the same album on Princess Superstar.
Yep.
We got placements on the same album.
We were.
Yeah.
Ultimag. I waited to mention that because he said that in the chat yesterday, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, yo, yeah, yep, Princess Super.
It just hit me yesterday.
Yes, Princess. And you remember the remix I did for her, right? Also, to Come Up to My Room.
Come Up to My Room, yeah.
She had Mr. Rick. What's his name?
Baron Ricks.
Baron Ricks. Baron Ricks. Yep. Big shouts to Princess Superstar. That was, that was my homegirl, man. been around the city together. I used to love Princess Superstar, boy. She was the homie. She was the homie, man. She was really cool. She was really, really cool. I saw her like, not to sidetrack y'all, but I saw her like 10 years. She was 8 years ago. She was at a DJ battle. She had the Princess Superstar shirt.
Oh, that's great.
I said, great. I ran into her on a plane coming from Amsterdam too. She was coming from somewhere, but it was a connector. I was connecting. She was on a plane. I'm like, yo. I said we gotta do something else together because this is meant to be. I keep running into you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, big shouts to that. Yeah, Ultimate. We're on the same record. Same thing. And
we just had her on the show towards the end of the last year or so.
Oh man, I gotta reach out to her. I gotta hit her up. I got it on the Instagram. I gotta hit her up. I gotta say what's up to her because she was the homie, man. We hung out a lot, and she's brought me to a lot of great places out here. We've had fun. Like she's had her homegirls come out from London at some points, and I went out with them, and they were chilling and all that stuff. So it was all good. But yeah, around that time, so I've done some stuff. And I actually got out of. I wasn't doing beats for a minute because I didn't have a machine, but I actually just picked up an MPC-1. MPC-1, my boy, big shouts to Soundchain, who sent me one, fed further. I have one of those. And yeah, the machine is great. Like I'm just amazed at like how much the technology has advanced. You know, I still use it the same way, but like, I mean, with the SP, I still love the 1200. I mean, with that, the sampling time of that shit was like 8 seconds, and but all the sounds from those. That's why you got those sounds from the 90s. Or you got the Tribe and all those off and ons, like the Trends of Culture. Those sounds were done from those machines. That's why that era had that type of raw sound that you could emulate. I mean, the MPC-1 have a vintage mode, which is interesting, where you can make it sound like the MPC 3000 or the 1200. Yeah, they have a switch where you can put it on and make it sound like those machines. Yeah. So it's actually great, you know. So I'm getting more into using it now. Me and my lady were getting, and it's a great machine. Like, you know, I got some tips from what's his name, from C the Cuban. I remember I was first learning it. C the Cuban, he was patient with me. I was just digging his brain for like a couple of hours. Like, yo, I'm like, see, I'm sorry for asking you all these questions, and he's just like, don't worry about it, man. Once you get the basics down, you're gonna be rocking it like a week. Don't worry about it. And he was very patient with me because he knows how to use the machine. And I was asking him, like, how do you do this? Oh, I messed up. I got to go back. Like, how do you do it? He was just like, no, you just do it this way. And so now I'm pretty much learning. I mean, there's like tons of stuff that I still don't know how to do, and I'm learning. Like this, you could basically with this machine, you could basically do an album on this machine. You can record vocals on it, scratches. You can EQ, mix. It's like a trackboard / production machine in one. Yeah. Like I'm like, back then you couldn't do that with none of these machines. It was producing. You could barely do that. You could you could do 1200. You had 8 seconds. Like you get your drum, kick, and snare in. Whatever sample you use, you better chop the shit up out of that in pieces. Because you ain't sample unless you had the Kai 950. That's the only way you would be able to sample, and you had the link. If you just had a 1200, you'd be putting stuff on 45 and then slowing it down.
That's what I was gonna say, man. Yeah. That's what you had to do. You know, man, when I first started making beats, I had a Casio SK1.
Oh wow, throwback.
Yep. And so if I would sample stuff off a tape because I could run the cassette and I could put it like fake it like I was doing high speed dub. So it would play real fast and I would sample it and I get hella sample time out of it when I slow it down.
Wow. See, those were the secrets of the trick. That she had the method. See? C-Docs had the method. That was dope. He had the method. That's what I used to do to get time. I used to speed a record up to like as fast as I could.
Yeah. And
I would slow it down. All right, well, I gotta save some sampling time. I gotta do that. Sometimes though, it worked with the 1200, but then sometimes it did because when you slowed it down, it had this like computery sound. Like
I got that real grungy.
If you did it too hard, but it was if you guys, well, you heard the album, The Reborn, and on the Gene Gray song, that was done strictly from a 1200. The drums, the snare, the sample, and you hear it's chopped in the sample in a minute. And what I liked about the 1200 back then is you had the things where you can go down on a knob and then it would just create this loop a little bit like at the end, if you didn't have space, it was like kind of like a time filler.
Yeah.
And it would sometimes the SB1200 would loop something like if you had like a little second where it would be some dead air before it continued onto the other loop, that's what you would hit to make it time stretch in. But sometimes you would catch a little echo or a little repeat that would make it sound ill. And that's what happened with me with the Jean Grey track. So if you listen to the sample, the boom, 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 and it goes boom, I was just trying to fill in time and it just happened to re-loop like that. And I was like, yo, I'm keeping it like that. I'm keeping it like that. It sounds great. So it ended up sounding like that. And I left it just like it is. And it was just done like that. So it was great. I think Les had that too when he did the nod factor with Mad Skills, like that, because that's Johnny Guitar Watson.
Right.
And Les never told me how he did it because I always picked him and he's just funny. I said, yo, Les, how the fuck did you get that nod factor shit to sound like that? Like, because I tried to do it and I tried to make it, I couldn't emulate it. And I was like, yo, Les, how the hell did you do that? Les was looking at me like, yo, man, it's just skills, man. That's all he told me. Skills, man. I'm like, man, you come on, man. He's like, nah, it's skills though. Well, yeah, man. Oh, this is great, man. I'm about you guys, man. This is like, it's like one of the. Actually, this is the best interview I've done. Like for real. Like, no, it is. It's great. It's dope. It's great. You guys, I got brought back to a lot of great old school stuff, and you guys can relate to it. It's like. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Man, it's what we grew up on, It's like, jeez.
It's that old, the beat mine, like we do the radio show. People go, oh, what do you do? I'm like, yo, man, I'm just playing that old that backyard barbecue music. That's what I grew up with. If anybody remembers my family, you go to barbecues, you hear all this good music, and it's instilled to just do it, and that's what it is. There's no formula, no remedy, no remedy. It's just what was instilled in us when we were younger and the stuff we enjoyed that we still bring to this day. That music is never going to die, man. This music is going to be timeless. I don't know about this new music that's coming out today, but that music is still timeless. You could put a Stephanie Mills record on 10 years from now. It's 20, 30 years from now. Patti LaBelle, all these artists, they're still lasting. People still appreciate this music,
Yo, man, I got a real quick segue here, sidebar. We were playing stuff. The kids and Mara and I were in the car. And I was playing R&B, and I put on En Vogue.
Wow.
And I put on Give It Up or Turn It Loose, and I'm like, there's no fucking way this song is over 30 years old. There's no way, because it sounds as fresh.
Yep.
And as it's just like, it was like, oh yeah, I listened. This just came out. I got this tape last year or whatever the hell. That's what it sounded like to me. And I'm like, oh my God, man.
Yeah. You could compare. It's timeless. It just doesn't sound like it was made for that era. It still sounds dated. Which is great. It still sounds dated, and God bless to those artists that made that. I love that type. I stayed with that type. I'm stuck in the past, literally. There's nothing out to really. There's some artists that are there, but most of this new stuff, not like so much from the underground stuff, but the new stuff. It's not. The radio's not like what it used to be. They're not playing good stuff.
It's a whole different new thing.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's very new, and it's just kind of like I kind of feel bad for the generation that's coming up, because they're not going to come up with stuff that's going to be memorable.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to Eric Sermon talk about this today. He was saying because there's so much booty shaking and all, it's overly sexualized. When those kids of that era grow up, when they have children and kids, they're not going to play that. So, so these kids that are making this music, They might not be able to tour where EPMD is still touring, Common's still touring, Cypress Hill, all that type of stuff. So,
of course,
the longevity wise, it's really not that smart.
No.
What does it say? What does it say? I'm gonna say it again.
Go,
you guys
Jenny.
brought out my soapbox. But what does it say when Cardi B won't play her own record in front of her kid?
Wow. Wow.
There you go.
That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. Right. That is deep.
What does it say? I watched that stupid video and she's playing and she's got WAP coming out of the speakers.
Wow.
And she sees her kid walk in and she turned that thing off with the quickness. Oh, okay. So your kid can't hear, but you can force it on all of these people's kids.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something. It's just the era to and thank God for the people that are still putting out or putting out great music and that still want to do that because it needs a shift and change. I mean, of course, things grow, but I've always believed that great artists are going to be great artists, always going to put out great music.
Yeah.
And there's never going to be a shortage of that as long as the artists are going and they don't get manipulated by that. I mean, of course, it's different to these days and people want all this stuff, but wherever, I mean, like what Primo said, that underground's probably going to live forever. There's always going to be artists coming up, new people that are always going to have love for the art and always going to do that. And that's the people that I look for that are going to keep this going, and there's always going to be those guys with the torches that's going through the fucking darkness,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's what, honestly, real quick, last thing, that's what I want. That's what I thought about when I was doing my album. I wanted to make a timeless album. I hibernated. I wanted to make a timeless album. I wanted to make a great album. I did not want to just do an album and throw it out and go, I got an album out. I'm Sinister. I wanted to put a heavy presence on my album, and I wanted it to be great from start to end. And I wanted people to go, this is a great album, and it's good music, and it's feel good music, and it's timeless. And that was my goal set to do this album. And God, by the graces of the Lord, I think I've accomplished that with this album. I'm happy.
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell. Listen,
thank you.
Put the record on, you can tell.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, man. I have got one last question.
Yes.
Before we let you go, do you still have records?
Some. I have some. I had at least 15 crates of records, and then when I moved out, I had stuff. I was on every label. I mean, I was on a label, so I had record labels and record pools. I had promos. I had records coming to my door all the time. Every time I came home, there was the UPS man got fed up. He started leaving records outside the door, and I was seeing him like, dude, don't ever do that, because if people come by, I had musicians around my way. They would take records from my house. You got to see like records, like 8 records on the thing. I said they're gonna miss them, but yeah. I had a lot, and then I lost some of them, unfortunately. But by that time, I had them all in a hard drive. But I still have some records, and then I have some that I have here. My lady's house, she has some records here. So I have could say like a third of my records what I had, So I still use them. I still like using records, and I still mess with them. Yeah, always.
Yeah. Always curious about that, like, because there are people that we've talked to that still keep the records.
Yeah.
Other people like the homie, which surprised me, but the homie, rest in peace, 45 King. I asked him one time, I'm like, you still got your records, Mark? And he's like, hell no. I got rid of all of it. I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, I got rid of that. Taking up space. I'm like, okay.
when the hard drives came out, man, it was kind of like, all right, well, I remember I seen Herc when I did a show. Me and Herc booked it for a show in Marseille, in France. Wow. And this when I was anti-Serato at that time, but it was out, but I was just still like not using it.
Right.
And I came to the airport with I was raw. I had 7 crates of records, and I came rolling them in the cart. Herc had the Serato. He had a computer. Herc looked at me. He saw me. He said, Sin, come on, man. What the hell is this? He said you got to get with the times, man. Come on, man. But you know what's funny? I felt he kind of made me feel like, wow, like I'm outdated. But when we got to France now, we had a party on a boat. And it's random. Some dude was like, yo, y'all guys want to DJ on the boat? It's like a little boat. It cruises around. And Herc went there, but then when I had 4 guys, I said, well, I got records. So can you guys help me? So as we were going on the boat, the guys were coming in with the records. And then dudes were like, yo, man, Sinister's going to kill it, man. Look how many records he's bringing in here, man. And they wasn't even looking at Herc. Herc was like, oh, yeah. I said, yeah, you got me at the airport, but it kind of got me respect over here. Thank you guys, man, for having me on, man.
Thank you for coming through, bro. Anytime you want to come through, please do.
I really appreciate it, man. Big shouts to Flatline, big shouts to Ultra Mag, Jenny. I've been talking to Jenny here and there. You know, she's having great conversations. And big shouts to you, Steve. Like, I really appreciate the opportunity of coming on. It's great. I had a great time with you guys. I'm definitely going to stay in touch and send you guys music. I got to send you guys. I just did a Verbally Assaulted remix. So I'm going to send you guys that you just send me an email through my Instagram, give it to Jenny and send it. I'm friends with all you guys now on Instagram. So I'll send you any new stuff that I do or whatever's coming. I'll send you all that, you know.
Please do.
Dope.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mista Sinista.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Man.
History.
Yeah. Fantastic. I know. It's like I wanted to soak in, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those episodes where again we just kind of sit back and just let him go. And
yeah,
you could have gone.
I just want to hear this. Yeah.
Yep.
Just want to hear the stories.
Yeah. Yep. Like Overkill said, part 2. Yeah.
I have a feeling he will be back.
Yeah.
He'll be around.
Yep. I think so.
Resurrect.
Yeah, somehow I got 2 copies of Expressions. I'm not even sure how. I think somebody gave me one. I bought one and somebody gave me one, and then I also got the Raiders theme remix. CD. Yeah. Word up.
Somehow I can't find my copy of Expressions, but I know I have it, but can't get it. So
I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
You know what?
Oh my god.
Like I can't find my NWA Straight Outta Compton cassette. I have no idea. Ultra Mag, did you steal my Straight Outta Compton tape?
You never know.
Who was it that said they were going to show up at somebody's house and steal all their? Who was?
Somebody was going to steal Ultra Mag shit. Yeah.
Tone Love said they were going. Tone Love for the Tough Crew said they were going to come in.
Yep. Come and steal
take all my
all
stuff.
your shit. Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh man. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Ultra, I was gonna ask. So over there, no, you kind of said already that about Dylan's show. I was gonna ask how it was, but you did mention it.
Oh yeah. It was dope. He spun a lot of Dilla joints. Dope.
Yeah. Was that just like a one-off thing, or is he doing a little kind of DJ run, or?
I think it might have been just a spot date. Well, actually, the night before, oh my God, you just said his name from Philly. Oh my God, I feel so embarrassed. He's on your list, Flatline. Oh my God.
Too Tough?
No, MC from Philly. I'm having a brain fart.
Reef the Lost Cause.
Yeah, sorry, Reef.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Reef. So Reef performed the night before, and then actually he performed, Dylan performed as Lobsterdamus in the Lobster Cause.
Wow.
Like he made an appearance.
I told you.
Crazy.
What did I say? What did I say when you said you were going to go see Dylan? And I said, is the crustacean showing up?
Oh, no, that was the night before, though. But I missed that show. This is just a DJ set. Yeah. But the night before he did. Yeah. Anyway.
Lobsterdamus.
You haven't lived till you see the Lobsterdamus show.
Yep. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. All right. So it's C-Doc again is brought to you. We got to give a shout out to our sponsors real quick. Flatline's going for the can.
Hackensack Brewing, Auga, which is a dedication to the Awesome 2. Definitely check out Hackensack Brewing, all their offerings, but especially Auga, dedicated to the Awesome 2 and the 50th year of hip hop.
Yes. And it is also brought to you by the Spit Slam Record Label Group. The Spit Slam Record Label Group, a Chuck D situation. Catch us on your favorite streaming platform, on Bandcamp, or visit our official web store at spitslamrecords.com. All releases are available digitally or on CD, with select titles available on vinyl and cassette. The Spit Slam Record Label Group. Throwback to the future sound.
That was quite the dance you were doing there, C-Doc.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You know what? During that commercial break, I just realized I put up a picture with me and Reef the Lost Cause last week, and I'm like, I couldn't think of his name for nothing. I'm like hugging him. I'm like, damn. I'm old.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And party people in the place to be. You can catch Flatline, myself, and Mr. Chuck D every Friday night for the Angie Don't Stop radio show. I play the Spit Slam Jam of the Week. Play lots of buttery goodness on the Rap Station app. Oh yeah, the buttery goodness.
Wow.
And Mixcloud. So check out the Angie Don't Stop radio show from Rap Station. And you can catch Ultramag 7 and Jennifer O. Jenny along with DJ Soulbuck every Sunday. Well, back to Sunday now that the Super Bowl's over. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. right here on Channel Zero for the Mixtape, where they play music from our upcoming guests. And who is our guest next week, Jennifer?
Well, they were spoken a lot of this evening, but it's one C the Cuban and Chatty-O.
Yeah, Chatty-O coming back for his second show, and
he's coming back.
Yeah,
Rhythm Blunt Crew
knocking at my door.
Nothing but the rough, rugged, and hardcore.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. So we will be talking to C the Cuban and Chatty-O next week, right here on It's C-Doc again. I want to thank everybody watching live, everybody watching on the replay. Of course, my co-host, Ultramag 7, Jennifer O. Jenny, and Flatline. We will see everybody next week for another episode of It's C-Doc again. Oh, snap.